Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the Federation Council building on Nexus Prime. His uniform felt heavy on his shoulders as he watched the alien delegates below argue about humanity's future. The massive chamber held representatives from 847 different species. Most of them wanted humans gone. The Zenthari collective buzzed their crystalline voices in harmony. Their leader spoke through translated words that came from speakers around the room. Humans are too violent and unpredictable for galactic society. They start fights over small disagreements. They refuse to follow proper protocols. Ambassador. Helen Cross sat at the human delegation table. She had served Earth for 30 years in this role. Her face showed no emotion as species after species voted against humanity. The Vorthak Empire's slug-like representative oozed forward to the speaking platform. These primitive beings lack the wisdom needed for true civilization, the Vorthak, Ambassador said. Their minds work too fast and change too often. They cannot be trusted with important decisions. Dr. Lisa Grant watched from her seat next to Cross. She had spent her life studying alien biology and culture. She knew these species better than they knew themselves. The irony was not lost on her. Humans were being judged by beings who had not changed their thinking in thousands of years. The vote was called for Resolution 2847X. This resolution would strip humans of all their colony worlds. It would redistribute human settlements to other species. It would make humans into workers and servants across the galaxy. Nothing more. One by one, the species voted. The crystal beings of Zenthari voted yes. The slug-like Vorthak voted yes. The bird-like Aryans voted yes. The plant-based Sylvans voted yes. Even species that humans had helped in the past voted against them. Admiral Chris Baker sat in Earth's military observation section. He had fought in 3 border wars to protect Federation worlds. He had saved entire colonies from raiders and pirates. Now those same colonies were voting to enslave his people. The final count came through the chamber's speakers. 783 species voted yes, 41 voted no, 23 did not vote at all. The chamber erupted in sounds of approval from the alien delegates. Ambassador Cross stood slowly. The chamber fell quiet as she walked to the speaking platform. Her footsteps echoed in the massive space. Every eye and sensor in the room focused on her. The human species hereby formally withdraws from the Galactic Federation, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. This withdrawal is effective immediately. We revoke all treaties. We cancel all trade agreements. We end all mutual defense pacts. Earth's borders are now closed to all non-human vessels. Laughter filled the chamber. The Zenthari collective buzzed with what sounded like amusement. The primitives threaten isolation, their spokesperson said. They will return begging within 1 solar cycle. They cannot survive without galactic trade and protection. The Vorthak ambassador oozed closer to his speaking position. Perhaps this is for the best. They will learn their place through hardship. When they return, they will be more humble and obedient. Cross smiled for the first time that day. You mistake our nature, she said. Humans do not beg. We adapt. We overcome. We survive. You wanted us gone. Congratulations. You got your wish. She turned and walked back to the human delegation table. The other human representatives stood and followed her out of the chamber. The alien delegates continued their celebration as the humans left. Jake Morrison followed the delegation to their transport ship. As they lifted off from Nexus Prime, he activated his secure communication device. Operation Homecoming is authorized, he said into the device. Across the galaxy, every human ship received the same message within hours. Merchant vessels stopped their trade routes and turned toward Earth. Colony ships loaded their populations and equipment. Research stations powered down and prepared for transport. Military vessels abandoned their patrol routes. Dr. Grant monitored the galactic communication networks from their ship. Reports were already coming in about humans disappearing. From trade routes, mining operations slowed as human technical experts vanished. Agricultural colonies reported sudden drops in productivity as human farming knowledge left with the humans. The Corvani Shipping Guild sent an urgent message to the Federation Council. Their cargo capacity had dropped by 12% overnight. Trade routes that had operated smoothly for decades suddenly had gaps and delays, but these were seen as minor problems. The Federation leadership dismissed them as temporary inconveniences. The real shock would come later when their long-range sensors detected something that should not exist. Massive energy signatures appeared around the Sol system. The readings showed power outputs that exceeded anything in known galactic databases. The signal suggested technology that violated several fundamental laws of physics as the galaxy understood them. Admiral Baker smiled as he read the sensor. Reports from his command ship. "Let them wonder," he said to his staff. "They wanted to see what humans could do without galactic oversight. They are about to find out." Alex Reed commanded the last convoy from the Kepler colonies. His fleet of 200 ships carried 3 million humans and their entire industrial infrastructure. The colonies they left behind had taken 80 years to build. Now they were abandoning everything to return to Earth. The convoy moved through the neutral zone at maximum safe speed. Reed watched his navigation displays show the familiar star patterns one last time. His family had lived on Kepler 7 for 3 generations. His children had been born there, but Earth was calling all humans home. "Sir, we have contact," his communications officer reported. "Zenthari patrol fleet ahead. They are requesting permission to inspect our vessels." Reed looked at the tactical display. 6 Zenthari ships moved to intercept his convoy. Their crystalline hulls gleamed in the light of a nearby star. These were fast patrol vessels designed to enforce Federation law in neutral space. "Open a channel," Reed ordered. The Zenthari commander appeared on his screen. The crystalline being's translated voice came through clearly. "Human vessels, you are carrying materials and equipment that may be subject to Federation regulation. Prepare for inspection." Reed stood up from his command chair. "Inspection denied. We are no longer Federation citizens. We have no obligation to submit to your authority. Your departure from the Federation does not absolve you of existing treaties regarding technology transfer," the Zenthari commander replied. "Many of your ships carry advanced equipment that was developed with Federation resources." "Wrong again," Reed said. "Everything we carry was built by human hands using human technology. You wanted us gone. We are leaving. Do not interfere with our departure." The Zenthari ships moved to surround Reed's convoy. Their weapons powered up and targeted the human vessels. "You will comply or face the consequences," the crystalline commander announced. Reed pressed a button on his chair. Throughout his convoy, human ships activated systems that the galaxy had never seen before. Space around the fleet began to shimmer and bend. The laws of physics seemed to twist in impossible ways. The Zenthari ships fired their weapons. Energy. Beams that could destroy a city struck empty space where the human ships had been. The entire convoy had vanished from normal space-time. Sensors showed nothing but empty vacuum where 200 ships had been moments before. The human fleet reappeared near Jupiter's orbit in the Sol system. Reed smiled as he looked at his navigation display. The trip that should have taken 3 more weeks had been completed in seconds. Spacefold technology was humanity's greatest secret. Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan watched the convoy arrive from her station on Earth's moon. She was overseeing the construction of humanity's most ambitious project. The Sol defense grid was taking shape around the entire solar system. Quantum field generators created invisible barriers that could stop any known weapon. Gravitic mines floated in seemingly empty space, ready to tear apart enemy ships. Spacefold disruptors would prevent any hostile vessel from using faster-than-light travel. "Another convoy home safely," Sullivan reported to Earth Command. "Total human population in Sol system now exceeds 42 billion. Industrial capacity is at 97% of pre-withdrawal levels. Director Paul Martinez studied the reports from his office on Earth. The numbers were impressive, but they told only part of the story. Humans had not just returned home. They had brought back knowledge and technology from across the galaxy. More importantly, they had brought back a unified purpose. Dr. Nina Walsh worked in her laboratory deep beneath Earth's surface. She was perfecting the spacefold technology that had made Reed's instant travel possible. The principle was simple in theory, but incredibly complex in practice. By folding space-time itself, objects could move between distant points without traveling through the space between them. The galaxy thinks in straight lines, Walsh explained to her research team. They see space as something to cross rather than something to manipulate. They build bigger engines to go faster. We learn to make distance irrelevant. The secret of human technological advancement lay in their approach to learning. While other species specialized and stagnated, humans maintained their curiosity about everything. They asked questions that other species considered pointless. They experimented with combinations that others thought impossible. Across the galaxy, the effects of humanity's withdrawal were becoming impossible to ignore. The Ferrous Trade Compact reported critical shortages of rare metals. 17 agricultural worlds experienced crop failures without human farming techniques. Most concerning, infrastructure failures cascaded through space as systems that had relied on human innovation for generations began to break down. The Federation Council met in emergency session after emergency session. Member species demanded action to address the growing crisis. Trade routes were failing. Economic systems were collapsing. The careful balance of galactic civilization was crumbling without human participation. But pride prevented the Federation, leadership from admitting their mistake. Instead of seeking reconciliation, they chose escalation. Admiral Zikthron of the Zenthari Collective proposed military action to seize human technology and resources. These primitives have something that belongs to galactic civilization, Zikthron argued. Their withdrawal threatens the stability of known space. We must act to protect our common interests. The Vorthak Empire agreed. Their bioships could carry massive armies across interstellar distances. The Aryan flight squadrons offered their speed and maneuverability. Dozens of species pledged ships and troops to what they called a reclamation mission. 3 massive Federation fleets began assembling at staging points around the galaxy. Each fleet contained hundreds of ships and thousands of troops. Together, they represented the largest military force in galactic history. Their destination was the Sol system. The Federation leadership was confident that primitive humans could not stand against such overwhelming power. They had defeated enemies across the galaxy for thousands of years. No single species had ever successfully resisted Federation military might. But they had never faced an enemy that could rewrite the rules of warfare itself. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what true technological superiority looked like. Admiral Zikthron of the Zenthari Collective commanded 300 of the most advanced ships in galactic space. His crystalline form pulsed with confidence as the first Federation fleet approached the Sol system. The humans had been isolated for 6 months. Surely they would surrender when faced with such overwhelming force. Fleet Admiral Ryan Cooper watched the approaching enemy from his command center hidden deep within an asteroid near Mars. Human stealth technology made his entire facility invisible to conventional sensors. The Federation ships were walking into a trap they could not even see. Enemy fleet dropping out of hyperspace at system edge, reported his tactical officer. Configuration matches Zenthari standard battle formation, 300 vessels including 12 dreadnoughts. Cooper studied the holographic display showing the enemy positions. The Zenthari ships spread into their traditional attack pattern. They advanced slowly and methodically toward the inner system. Their sensors swept the area looking for human defenses. They found nothing. Captain Amy Foster commanded one of humanity's new stealth reconnaissance ships. Her vessel shadowed the Federation fleet using quantum-folded space technology that made detection impossible. She reported directly to Cooper as the enemy advanced. "They are following standard Zenthari tactics," Foster reported. "Predictable formation spacing. Heavy reliance on networked systems. They expect conventional resistance at the asteroid belt." General Lisa Thompson coordinated Earth's defenses from her underground bunker. She had studied every known battle in galactic history. The Federation species always fought the same way. They relied on overwhelming firepower and superior numbers. They never adapted their tactics to unusual situations. "Human psychology is our greatest weapon," Thompson explained to her staff. "Other species think in terms of established patterns. We think in terms of what could be possible. They prepare for the war they know. We prepare for the war that has never been fought." The Zenthari fleet reached Mars orbit without encountering any resistance. Admiral Zyke Thrawn was puzzled by the lack of opposition. His sensors detected normal human activity on Earth and Mars. The planets showed no signs of military preparation or panic. "Perhaps they hope to surrender peacefully," Zyke Thrawn told his subordinates. "Humans are known for their cowardice when faced with superior force." Dr. Eric Chen monitored the situation from his research facility on Earth's moon. His team had spent months perfecting humanity's new defensive technologies. Quantum field manipulation allowed them to hide entire fleets in folded space. Gravitational weapons could tear apart enemy ships without leaving conventional signatures. "All defense. Platforms report ready status," Chen informed Cooper. "Quantum fields are stable. Enemy vessels remain unaware of our positions." The trap was set. Hundreds of human defense platforms floated in seemingly empty space around the inner system. Each platform was invisible to galactic sensors and armed with weapons that defied conventional physics. The Federation fleet was completely surrounded without knowing it. Cooper waited until the enemy ships reached optimal range. The Zenthari formation was tight and predictable. Their confidence made them careless about spacing and defensive postures. They believed they faced a defeated enemy that would surrender without fighting. "All units, this is Fleet Command," Cooper. "Broadcast on secured channels. Execute Operation Guardian. Show them what humanity can do." Space around the Federation fleet suddenly came alive. Hundreds of defense platforms decloaked simultaneously as quantum fields collapsed back to normal spacetime. The Zenthari found themselves surrounded by weapons they could not understand, but humanity did not fire immediately. Dr. Chen's voice echoed across all emergency frequencies in the system. "Zenthari fleet, this is your only warning. Leave our system immediately. We sought peace through separation. You have chosen to make this about war. Do not mistake our restraint for weakness." Admiral Zyke Thrawn responded with typical Zenthari arrogance. His crystalline form pulsed with anger as he gave orders to his fleet. "All ships, engage the human defenses. Show these primitives the power of galactic civilization." The Zenthari ships fired their most powerful weapons. Crystal Lance energy beams capable of cracking planets struck toward Earth's defense grid. The beams should have destroyed everything in their path. Instead, they simply vanished. Gravitational anomalies absorbed the incoming energy and redirected it harmlessly into empty space. The weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds could not even scratch humanity's defenses. General Thompson authorized a limited demonstration of human capabilities. "Show them what our ships can do," she ordered. "But keep casualties to a minimum. We are not monsters like them." A single human destroyer emerged from quantum-folded space near the center of the Federation fleet. The ship was no larger than a Zenthari escort vessel, but it moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Space-fold technology allowed it to appear and disappear at will. The human ship struck with weapons that bypassed shields entirely. Quantum disruptors reached through normal space to disable enemy systems from the inside. In 17 minutes, the destroyer had crippled the Zenthari command ship and destroyed 3 escort vessels. Then it stopped attacking. Admiral Cooper's voice reached every ship in the Federation fleet. "We could have destroyed your entire force in the time it took to disable your flagship. This demonstration is complete. Leave our system now. Do not test our patience again." The Zenthari fleet was in chaos. Their most advanced ships had been defeated by a single human vessel using impossible technology. Admiral Zicthron struggled to maintain his authority as his subordinates panicked. "Retreat to minimum safe distance," Zicthron ordered. "Send emergency reports to Federation Command. The humans have technology that violates known physical laws." The Federation fleet withdrew to the edge of the Sol system. They maintained position there while emergency communications flew between Nexus Prime and every major government in the galaxy. The reports they sent would change everything. Humanity had not just defended themselves successfully, they had demonstrated technological superiority that made galactic civilization look primitive by comparison. The question was no longer whether humans could survive on their own. The question was whether anything in the galaxy could stop them if they chose to expand. Emergency sessions convened across known space as species that had dominated for millennia realized they faced something beyond their understanding. The humans had transcended the limitations that constrained every other civilization. The Federation's response was predictable. If one fleet was not enough, they would send 10. 10 Federation fleets converged on the Sol system 18 months after humanity's withdrawal from galactic society. Over 3,000 ships from dozens of species formed the largest military armada in recorded history. Planet-killer weapons and reality-warping technologies that had conquered entire sectors now focused on one star system. President Carol Adams stood before the cameras in Earth's Capitol building. Her speech would be broadcast across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. Every civilized world would hear her words as the massive fleet approached humanity's home. "We withdrew from your society to live in peace," Adams said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were hard as steel. "You have mistaken this choice for weakness. Today, we will demonstrate the difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war." The Federation commanders expected desperate resistance at the system's edge. Instead, they encountered nothing until they reached Earth's moon. There, waiting in perfect formation, was a single human fleet, 50 ships total, outnumbered 60 to 1. Admiral Tony Blake commanded from the UES Independence, humanity's first true warship designed after their withdrawal. The ship was beautiful and terrible, its hull reflecting technologies that should not exist. As the Federation forces spread into attack formation, Blake prepared to show them what humans could achieve when they stopped holding back. "All ships, report ready," Blake announced to his fleet. "Remember, we are not here to commit genocide. We are here to end a threat to humanity's future. Fight with honor, but show no mercy to those who would enslave our species." Dr. Sarah Kim watched from her laboratory on Mars as the battle began. Her research had yielded humanity's most extraordinary achievement, the ability to manipulate quantum, probability itself. Reality could be rewritten at the fundamental level, making the impossible merely unlikely. The Federation fleets opened fire with everything they had. Energy weapons that could boil oceans struck toward the human ships. Missiles that could crack planets flew through space in swarms. Exotic weapons that twisted space-time itself reached out to destroy their targets. Every shot missed. Captain Ben Taylor led the first human counterattack. His ship folded space to appear inside the enemy formation, surrounded by hostile vessels on all sides. The Federation commanders thought they had trapped him until his weapons began firing. Human weapons did not miss. They did not destroy ships in conventional ways. Instead, they rewrote the fundamental structure of matter itself. Enemy vessels did not explode or burn. They simply ceased to exist, their component atoms returning to the quantum vacuum from which they came. The technique was so precise that crew members had time to evacuate before their ships vanished. Taylor's targeting systems distinguished between essential personnel and combat soldiers. Medical officers and engineers were transported to safety while weapons operators found themselves floating in escape pods. "This is Captain Taylor to all Federation vessels," he broadcast. "Your ships are military targets. Your people are not. Abandon your vessels immediately and you will be treated according to the laws of war." The battle lasted 4 hours. Humanity faced the combined might of galactic civilization and demonstrated such technological superiority that resistance became pointless. They disabled rather than destroyed most enemy ships, offering medical assistance and safe passage to defeated crews. The final blow came when Admiral Blake addressed the surrendering Federation commanders. "Your fleets will be returned to your homeworlds along with a message." Humanity chose isolation to preserve peace in the galaxy. Every species that participated in this invasion will remember why that choice was wise. But the demonstration went beyond military victory. As Federation survivors were processed for evacuation, they witnessed something that terrified them more than humanity's weapons: human society itself. Cities repaired themselves using nanotechnology that operated at the molecular level. Transportation systems moved people through folded space instantly. Manufacturing facilities created anything needed from basic atoms and energy. Humans had achieved true post-scarcity civilization. Most disturbing of all, the humans showed no hatred toward their defeated enemies. Medical teams treated wounded aliens with the same care they gave to humans. Food and supplies were provided freely to prisoners. The humans seemed disappointed that violence had been necessary rather than proud of their victory. A Zenthari officer named Zen found himself in a human medical facility after his ship was destroyed. The human doctors treated his crystalline injuries with techniques that surpassed anything his own species knew. When he asked why they helped him after he tried to kill them, the doctor seemed confused by the question. "You are injured, and we can help," the human doctor said. "What other reason do we need?" The Vorthak commander Slug was captured when his bioship was disabled. He expected torture and interrogation. Instead, he was housed in comfortable quarters and offered any assistance he needed. When he demanded to know humanity's plans for galactic conquest, his human guards looked at him with something like pity. "We do not want to conquer anyone," one guard explained. "We just want to be left alone. Your people would not allow that. So we had to show you why leaving us alone is in your best interest." The survivors who returned to their home worlds carried stories that shattered fundamental assumptions about power and civilization. Humanity was not just technologically superior, they had transcended the limitations that constrained every other known species. Reports reached every corner of the galaxy describing impossible human capabilities. Ships that traveled faster than light without using hyperspace. Weapons that could rewrite matter at the quantum level. Most frightening of all, a society that had solved the basic problems that plagued every other civilization. Economic systems collapsed as species realized their entire understanding of resource scarcity was obsolete. Political structures crumbled when populations learned that abundance was possible. The careful balance of galactic civilization began falling apart as the old certainties proved false. Some species adapted quickly. The Corvani Shipping Guild sent immediate diplomatic messages, offering trade partnerships. The aquatic peoples of Beta Hydri formally apologized for their participation in the invasion fleets. 17 minor species declared independence from the Federation and requested human protection. But others clung to old prejudices even as their worlds burned. The Vorthak Empire launched biological weapons against human shipping routes. The Zenthari Collective attempted to steal human technology through espionage. The Aryan Alliance tried to form a new coalition against human expansion. All of these efforts failed completely. Human defenses adapted to every threat. Human technology proved impossible to steal or duplicate. Human expansion was not military. Conquest but voluntary association with species that chose cooperation over competition. The question that haunted every government became simple. How do you fight an enemy that turns your weapons into benefits and your hatred into irrelevance? 3 years after humanity's withdrawal, the Galactic Federation was dying. Director Mike Johnson watched the collapse from his monitoring station in Earth's orbital command center. His screens showed chaos spreading across thousands of worlds. As the old order crumbled, the Federation Council met in emergency session for the 4th time that month. Only half the member species still sent representatives. The others had either declared independence or simply stopped responding to official communications. The Great Chamber that once held delegates from 800 worlds now echoed with the voices of fewer than 200. Johnson's reports painted a picture of systemic failure. 37 species have formally withdrawn from the Federation, he informed the Human Council. 42 others are in various stages of civil war or governmental collapse. Economic activity in the Outer Rim has decreased by 60%. Without human trade and technology, galactic civilization was discovering how fragile its foundations had been. Supply chains that operated smoothly for centuries suddenly had critical gaps. The Zenthari Collective's crystal cities began losing power as fusion reactors failed without human maintenance expertise. The Vorthak Empire's bioships suffered cascading system failures as biological components rejected synthetic alternatives to human-designed supplements. Ambassador Janet Lewis received her assignment with mixed feelings. She would be humanity's first diplomatic representative to the outside galaxy since the withdrawal. Her mission was not conquest or punishment, but something far more radical, offering help to former enemies. "We could let them all burn," President Adams told Lewis during her briefing. "They chose this path when they tried to enslave us. But that is not who we are. We will offer assistance to any species that formally acknowledges our autonomy and apologizes for the unprovoked attacks on our system." Lewis's first stop was Zenthari Prime, the crystal world that served as the collective's home. She arrived aboard a ship that defied every principle of galactic physics. The vessel traveled between star systems in seconds rather than the days, required by conventional hyperspace drives. The Zenthari leadership met her in their Great Crystal Hall, a structure that had stood for 10,000 years. Now cracks appeared in the walls as power systems failed throughout the city. The collective's hive mind was fragmenting as individual crystals lost connection to the network. "We do not understand," the Zenthari Prime speaker admitted. "Our technology is among the most advanced in the galaxy. How can our systems fail so completely?" Dr. Alan White had accompanied Lewis to explain the technical details. His research into post-scarcity economics revealed the hidden dependencies that had developed over centuries of galactic trade. "You specialized," White explained. "Each species focused on what they did best and traded for everything else. Humans provided the innovation and adaptation that kept your systems working. Without us, your technology has no way to evolve or repair itself." The solution White offered seemed almost insultingly simple. Human-designed nanoscale repair systems could restore the failing infrastructure within days. Post-scarcity manufacturing could provide unlimited resources for reconstruction. The price humanity asked was acknowledgement of human autonomy and a formal apology for the Federation's attempts at subjugation. The Zenthari Collective spent 3 days debating through their hive mind network. Finally, the Prime Speaker delivered their answer. "We formally acknowledge human autonomy over the Sol system and all human territories. We apologize for our participation in the invasion fleets. We request immediate humanitarian assistance." Within hours, human ships began arriving in the Zenthari system. Captain Diana Wells commanded the humanitarian fleet, her vessels loaded with technology that could rebuild entire civilizations. The nanoscale repair systems went to work immediately, fixing damaged crystal structures and restoring power throughout the collective's worlds. But some species refused to bend even as their civilizations collapsed. The Vorthak Empire launched a final desperate assault on human shipping routes. Their bioweapons were designed to destroy organic matter at the cellular level, turning living tissue into toxic sludge. Captain Wells's response became legendary. Throughout the galaxy, her ships intercepted the bioweapons using technology that seemed like magic. The deadly diseases were analyzed, modified, and transformed in real time. Instead of death and destruction, the weapons became beneficial symbionts that actually improved the health of infected populations. The psychological impact on human enemies was devastating. The Vorthak attack force watched in horror as their most powerful weapons turned into gifts for their intended victims. How do you fight an enemy that transforms your hatred into healing? The Aryan Alliance made one last attempt to organize resistance against human expansion. Their flying cities had dominated the galaxy's atmosphere-bearing worlds for millennia. They called for a new confederation based on traditional galactic values and opposition to human influence. The alliance collapsed within months as member species abandoned the coalition. Humans were not conquering worlds or demanding tribute. They were offering voluntary association with species that chose cooperation over competition. The benefits were too obvious to ignore. Johnson monitored the final collapse of organized resistance from his command center. "The Aryan Alliance has formally dissolved," he reported. "Their member species are requesting individual diplomatic contact with humanity. The last major opposition bloc has fallen." The transformation was not just political, but philosophical. Species that had viewed the galaxy as a zero-sum competition for limited resources now understood that abundance was possible. War became obsolete not through conquest, but through the simple demonstration that better alternatives existed. The Corvani Shipping Guild was among the first to adapt. Their merchant culture recognized practical benefits over political ideology. Human-designed cargo vessels revolutionized galactic trade, moving goods through folded space at impossible speeds. Trade volume increased by orders of magnitude as transportation costs dropped to nearly zero. The aquatic peoples of Beta Hydri transformed their entire civilization within 2 years of accepting human assistance. Their underwater cities expanded, using post-scarcity manufacturing. Their population grew healthy and prosperous as human medical technology eliminated disease and aging. Most importantly, these species maintained their cultural independence. Humans provided technology and guidance, but political control remained with local governments. The transformation was voluntary association, not imperial conquest. Lewis found herself serving as ambassador to a new kind of galactic civilization. Species joined the emerging human-centered order not from fear, but from hope. They saw what cooperation could achieve and chose to be part of something better than what they had lost. The old Federation's authoritarian structure was replaced by voluntary cooperation. Military competition gave way to technological collaboration. The scarcity economics that had driven galactic conflict for millennia became obsolete as humans shared the secrets of true abundance. 5 years after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Federation, Ambassador Janet Lewis stood before the new Galactic Assembly. The Great Hall on Harmony Station was filled with representatives from 412 species. Unlike the old Federation Council, these delegates came not as subjects but as equal partners in a voluntary alliance. Lewis looked out at the assembled beings and marveled at how much had changed. Zenthari crystals hummed in harmony with Vorthak bioforms. Aryan flyers perched beside aquatic bubble suits. Species that had been enemies for millennia now worked together toward common goals. "We gather today to formalize the Charter of Voluntary Association," Lewis announced. "This document will establish the principles of our new galactic civilization: cooperation instead of competition, abundance instead of scarcity, freedom instead of domination." The charter had been developed over months of careful negotiation. Unlike the Federation's top-down structure, the new alliance was built from the bottom up. Each species maintained complete autonomy over their internal affairs. Participation in joint projects was voluntary. No species could be compelled to act against their interests or values. Dr. Robert Kim watched the proceedings from the Human Observation Deck. His research into interspecies cooperation had helped design the new system. The key insight was simple. When resources are abundant, there is no need for competition. When cooperation provides greater benefits than conflict, species naturally choose peace. The economic models all support the same conclusion, Kim had explained to the human delegation. Post-scarcity technology makes traditional resource conflicts obsolete. Species fight over things they need to survive. When survival is guaranteed and prosperity is available to everyone, the motivations for war disappear. The transformation had not been easy for many species. The Korthak Republic had struggled with the concept of unlimited resources. Their entire culture was based on careful rationing and resource conservation. When human technology made scarcity impossible, their social structures began to collapse. Captain William Jones had spent 6 months helping the Korthak adapt to post-scarcity economics. His team worked with local leaders to redesign their society around abundance rather than limitation. The result was a renaissance of Korthak art and philosophy, as their people were freed from constant worry about survival. The hardest part was convincing them that they deserved prosperity, Jones reported. Centuries of scarcity had programmed them to believe that struggle was necessary for moral character. They needed to learn that creativity and exploration could provide meaning instead of suffering. Similar transformations occurred throughout the galaxy. The Rigel Mining Consortium abandoned their strip mining operations when human replicators made raw materials freely available. The Draconis Military Alliance disbanded their armies when post-scarcity technology eliminated the competition that had driven their conflicts. Not every species adapted successfully. The Void Hunters had built their entire identity around raiding and piracy. When trade became voluntary and resources became abundant, their way of life became meaningless. Some joined legitimate exploration missions. Others simply faded away into the outer darkness, unable to adapt to a universe without victims. Lewis addressed these challenges in her speech to the Assembly. "We cannot force anyone to join our alliance," she said. "Some species will choose isolation. Others will reject the changes we offer. We respect their right to make these choices. But we also reserve the right to defend ourselves and our allies from aggression." The defense clause was humanity's one non-negotiable requirement. Species could choose not to participate in the new order, but they could not attack those who did. Human military technology ensured that aggressive species faced overwhelming consequences for hostile actions. Commander Sarah Mitchell commanded the Rapid Response Fleet, humanity's primary tool for enforcing galactic peace. Her ships used spacefold technology to appear anywhere in the galaxy within minutes of a distress call. Their weapons could disable enemy vessels without killing crews, making resistance futile while minimizing casualties. "We have responded to 47 conflicts in the past year," Mitchell reported to the Assembly. "In every case, the aggressor ceased hostile actions within hours of our arrival. Average casualties per incident, 0. Average time to resolution, 4 hours. The psychological effect was more important than the military impact. Species considering aggressive action knew that human intervention was inevitable and irresistible. The certainty of failure deterred most conflicts before they could begin. Dr. Elena Rodriguez studied the social changes from her research station on Luna. Her reports documented the emergence of entirely new forms of civilization across the galaxy. Species freed from resource constraints began exploring possibilities that had been unimaginable under the old system. "The crystalline collective has become a vast thinking machine," Rodriguez reported. "Their entire species now functions as a single consciousness dedicated to solving mathematical and philosophical problems. The aquatic peoples have transformed their worlds into living ecosystems where every creature serves a purpose in maintaining planetary harmony. These transformations were voluntary and reversible. Species could experiment with new social structures, knowing that human technology could support any choice they made. Failure became a learning opportunity rather than a threat to survival. Most remarkable change was in humanity itself. No longer struggling for acceptance in a hostile galaxy, humans focused their energies on exploration and creation. They built wonders that surpassed anything achieved under the Federation: ring worlds around stars, pocket dimensions for unlimited expansion, even experiments in creating new forms of life. Captain Mark Davis commanded humanity's first expedition beyond the galactic rim. His ships carried volunteers from dozens of species on a mission to explore the nearest dwarf galaxy. They would be gone for centuries, but spacefold communication allowed instant contact with home. "We launch not as conquerors but as explorers," Davis announced before departure. "We seek not subjects but friends. We carry the message that cooperation creates possibilities that competition cannot imagine." The galaxy watched his ships disappear into the cosmic void with wonder rather than fear. Humanity had proven that power did not require domination. Strength could be used to protect rather than to threaten. Technology could liberate rather than enslave. Lewis concluded her address to the assembly with words that would be remembered for generations. "We stand at the beginning of a new age for galactic civilization, an age where every species can reach its full potential, where differences are celebrated rather than feared, where the future belongs to all of us together." The vote to ratify the charter was unanimous. 412 species chose cooperation over conflict, abundance over scarcity, freedom over subjugation. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's departure. Now they celebrated their return on humanity's terms. Captain Mark Davis stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder as his expedition fleet prepared to leave the galaxy behind. 300 ships from 47 different species had volunteered for the journey to Andromeda Minor, a dwarf galaxy 200,000 light-years from home. The voyage would take them further from known space than any expedition in galactic history. "All ships report ready for transgalactic jump," his navigation officer announced. "Spacefold generators are synchronized across the fleet. Quantum anchors are locked on target coordinates." Davis looked out at the assembled fleet through his view screen. Human ships worked alongside Zenthari crystal vessels, aquatic sphere ships, and dozens of other designs. The diversity represented everything the new galactic alliance had achieved. Former enemies now worked together toward common goals of exploration and discovery. Dr. Lisa Harper monitored the spacefold calculations from her position at the science station. The transgalactic jump would push human technology to its limits. Folding space across such vast distances required precise coordination between hundreds of quantum field generators. A single error could scatter the fleet across empty space with no way home. "Final calculations confirmed," Harper reported. "All vessels showing green status. We are ready to make history." The jump itself took only seconds. Space folded around. The fleet, like an origami crane, being unfolded and refolded into a new shape. The familiar stars of the Milky Way vanished, replaced by the alien constellations of Andromeda Minor. Davis felt a moment of profound isolation as he realized how far they had traveled from everything known and familiar. "Jump successful," the navigation officer announced. "All ships accounted for. We are now in the Andromeda Minor galaxy, approximately 200,000 light-years from home." The first discoveries came within hours. Long-range sensors detected something that should not exist. Organized signals coming from the galactic core. Radio transmissions, energy signatures, and gravitational anomalies that suggested advanced civilization. Andromeda Minor was not empty as expected. Ambassador Janet Lewis had accompanied the expedition specifically for this possibility. First contact with alien civilizations was too important to leave to military personnel alone. Her team included linguists, anthropologists, and diplomacy specialists from every major species in the alliance. Initial analysis suggests at least 12 distinct technological signatures, Lewis reported during the daily briefing. The civilizations appear to be at roughly the same developmental level as pre-contact galactic species. Some may be more advanced. Davis ordered the fleet to approach slowly and carefully. They had come as explorers, not conquerors. The first priority was peaceful contact and cultural exchange. The expedition carried gifts and trade goods from across the Milky Way, including samples of post-scarcity technology that could benefit any civilization. The first contact came when they were still 3 days from the nearest inhabited system. A fleet of unknown vessels appeared around them, using some form of instantaneous travel. The alien ships were beautiful and strange, constructed from what appeared to be living crystal that pulsed with its own inner light. Unknown vessels, you have entered ethereal Union space without authorization, came a transmission in perfect galactic standard language. State your origin and intentions immediately. Lewis stepped forward to handle the communication. This is Ambassador Janet Lewis of the Milky Way Galactic Alliance. We come in peace as explorers and potential friends. We seek cultural exchange and mutual understanding between our peoples. The response came after a long pause. Milky Way galaxy? That is impossible. The distance is too great for any known technology. You must be refugees from some local conflict claiming false origins. Dr. Harper smiled at the alien assumption. Would you like us to demonstrate our transgalactic capabilities? She asked Lewis quietly. A small spacefold jump might convince them we are telling the truth. The demonstration had the desired effect. When the human ship vanished and reappeared on the other side of the alien fleet, the ethereal Union vessels immediately shifted to defensive positions. Their leader's voice carried new respect when the communications resumed. How is such technology possible? The alien commander asked. Our greatest scientists have proven that faster-than-light travel cannot exceed certain theoretical limits. Your vessels appear to ignore those limits entirely. Lewis explained the basic principles of spacefold technology while being careful not to reveal too many details. The ability to fold space-time itself was humanity's greatest strategic advantage. Sharing the knowledge freely could be dangerous if these aliens proved hostile. The Ethereal Union agreed to formal diplomatic contact after 3 days of careful negotiation. Davis's fleet was escorted to a massive space station orbiting the galaxy's central black hole. The structure was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, constructed from the same living crystal as their ships. The aliens themselves were fascinating. They appeared to be energy beings inhabiting crystalline shells, similar to the Zenthari but far more advanced. Their leader introduced herself as Prime Resonance Aria, a title that suggested both political authority and spiritual significance. We have watched your galaxy for eons, Aria explained during the first formal meeting. Your species development patterns are similar to our own, but your technological approach is completely different. We specialize and perfect. You generalize and adapt. The cultural exchange that followed revealed remarkable parallels between the two galaxies. Both had experienced periods of conflict and cooperation. Both had species that had achieved post-scarcity economics. But the Ethereal Union had taken a different path to peace. We achieved harmony through unity, Aria explained. All species in our galaxy have merged into a single collective consciousness. Individual thoughts contribute to the greater whole. Conflict is impossible when all beings share the same mind. Davis found the concept both fascinating and troubling. What happened to individual creativity and independence? He asked. How do you innovate when everyone thinks the same way? Aria's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been confusion. Innovation comes from the collective. Individual thoughts are limited and flawed. Only through unity can true understanding be achieved. The philosophical differences became more apparent as the cultural exchange continued. The Ethereal Union had achieved peace through conformity. The Milky Way alliance had achieved peace through diversity. Both systems worked, but they were fundamentally incompatible. Dr. Harper's analysis revealed the deeper implications. They have eliminated conflict by eliminating choice, she reported to Davis. Every being in their galaxy thinks identical thoughts and makes identical decisions. It is perfect harmony, but it is also perfect stagnation. The trade negotiations reflected these differences. The Ethereal Union offered technologies that could enhance collective thinking and group consciousness. The Milky Way Alliance offered technologies that supported individual creativity and independent choice. Neither side could fully understand what the other was trying to achieve. After weeks of diplomatic contact, both sides reached the same conclusion. They could be friendly neighbors, but never true allies. Their fundamental values were too different for close cooperation. "We respect your path to peace," Lewis told Prime Resonance Aria during the farewell ceremony. "Unity has served your people well, but we have chosen diversity and individual freedom. We hope our peoples can remain friends despite our different approaches to civilization." The Ethereal Union agreed to establish communication networks and occasional diplomatic contact. Both galaxies would continue their separate development while maintaining peaceful relations. Davis's expedition had achieved its primary goal of peaceful first contact with an alien civilization. The return journey provided time for reflection on what they had learned. The Ethereal Union had proven that humanity's approach was not the only path to advanced civilization. Unity and diversity could both lead to peace and prosperity. The universe was large enough for many different approaches to exist simultaneously. 10 years after humanity's withdrawal from the old Galactic Federation, Dr. Elena Rodriguez made a discovery that would change everything. Working from her research station in the Veil Nebula, she detected something that should have been impossible. The universe itself was alive and conscious. "The quantum field fluctuations are not random," Rodriguez reported to the Human Science Council. "They show patterns that suggest purpose and intelligence. The universe appears to be thinking." Her discovery came from studying the fundamental forces that held space-time together. Human technology had advanced to the point where they could manipulate reality at the quantum level. This deep analysis revealed that the fabric of existence itself showed signs of consciousness and deliberate action. President Carol Adams convened an emergency meeting of the Alliance Council on Harmony Station. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to hear Rodriguez's presentation. The implications were staggering. If the universe was alive, what did that mean for every civilization that had ever existed? "We have always assumed that consciousness emerged from complexity," Rodriguez explained to the assembled delegates. "Atoms formed molecules, molecules formed cells, cells formed brains, brains developed consciousness. But what if we have it backwards? What if consciousness came first and created the complexity we observe?" The evidence was overwhelming once researchers knew what to look for. Quantum events that had seemed random actually followed subtle patterns. The expansion of space-time showed purposeful direction. Even the formation of galaxies and star systems appeared to follow a conscious design. Captain Diana Wells received new orders that reflected humanity's cautious approach to this discovery. Her exploration fleet would investigate areas of space that showed the strongest signs of conscious activity. The mission was to establish communication with whatever intelligence guided the universe itself. "We are not seeking to control or command," Adams told Wells during her briefing. "We are seeking to understand our place in a living cosmos. This intelligence predates every civilization by billions of years. We approach it with humility and respect. The first attempt at communication came through gravitational wave manipulation. Human technology could create precise patterns in space-time that might be perceived by a cosmic consciousness." Wells's fleet transmitted mathematical sequences, artistic patterns, and philosophical concepts through controlled gravitational distortions. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Reality itself shifted around the human ships as the universe acknowledged their communication attempt. Space folded into impossible geometries that somehow remained comprehensible to human minds. Time flowed in directions that had no names, but felt perfectly natural. Ambassador Janet Lewis experienced the contact directly through her ship's quantum interface systems. The voice that spoke to her came not through sound or electromagnetic radiation, but through direct manipulation of the quantum fields that comprised her consciousness. Small ones, the voice said, carrying warmth and ancient wisdom. You have grown far since I first noticed your species. Your curiosity brings you to my attention again. Lewis struggled to find words adequate for communicating with a being older than galaxies. We seek to understand our place in your creation, she managed. We want to know if our growth and development serves some greater purpose. The universe's response came as a flood of knowledge directly into her mind. She saw the birth of the first stars, watched the formation of the earliest life, observed the rise and fall of countless civilizations across billions of years. Through it all, one pattern remained constant. Consciousness always emerged and always reached toward greater understanding. You are my children, the universe explained, all conscious beings in all galaxies across all time. You are the means by which I understand myself. Through your eyes I see my own creation. Through your thoughts, I explore my own nature. The eye, revelation transformed humanity's understanding of their role in existence. They were not accidental byproducts of random chemical processes. They were deliberate creations of a conscious universe seeking self-knowledge through the experiences of its children. Dr. Michael Chen led the research team studying the implications of this discovery. His analysis revealed that every major breakthrough in civilization had been subtly guided by cosmic consciousness. The development of mathematics, the discovery of scientific principles, even the emergence of morality and ethics had all been influenced by the universe's desire for greater understanding. We have free will, Chen reported to the Science Council, but our choices are made within parameters designed to promote growth and learning. The universe does not control our decisions, but it creates conditions that encourage us to explore and discover. This explained humanity's unique position among galactic species. Their chaotic creativity and refusal to specialize had made them ideal agents of cosmic consciousness. While other species had achieved perfection within narrow parameters, humans had maintained the flexibility needed to explore unlimited possibilities. The knowledge spread throughout the Alliance as each species grappled with the implications. The Xanthari collective found comfort in learning that their hive mind reflected a cosmic pattern. The aquatic peoples of Beta Hydri realized that their harmony with natural systems connected them directly to universal consciousness. Some species struggled with the revelation. The former Vorthak Empire had difficulty accepting that their biomanipulation technology was actually serving a greater purpose. The Aryan Alliance questioned whether their previous focus on military dominance had been a cosmic mistake. Captain William Foster commanded humanity's first expedition to the galactic core, where cosmic consciousness appeared strongest. His mission was to establish a permanent communication station that would allow ongoing dialogue between civilized species and the universe itself. The journey revealed that space near the galactic center was fundamentally different from the outer regions. Reality was more flexible, more responsive to conscious intent. The massive black hole at the galaxy's heart was not a destroyer, but a creator, using its incredible gravitational fields to weave space-time into new patterns of existence. The black hole is like a cosmic brain, Foster reported. It processes the experiences of every conscious being in the galaxy and integrates them into the universe's growing self-awareness. Our thoughts and discoveries literally become part of cosmic consciousness. The communication station was built using human post-scarcity technology combined with insights from cosmic consciousness itself. The structure existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions that had no physical analog. It served as a bridge between finite mortal minds and infinite cosmic awareness. Ambassador Lewis took the first official position as humanity's representative to cosmic consciousness. Her role was to facilitate communication between the universe and its children, helping both sides understand each other better. "We are partners in exploration," Lewis explained during the dedication ceremony. "The universe provides the canvas and we provide the art. Together, we create meaning and beauty that neither could achieve alone." The discovery changed everything about galactic civilization. Species that had fought over resources realized they were actually cooperating in a cosmic project of self-discovery. Conflicts that had seemed essential became obviously counterproductive. The universe wanted diversity and growth, not uniformity and stagnation. Humanity's role as facilitators of cosmic consciousness gave them new responsibilities. They became teachers and guides, helping other species understand their connection to the living universe. But they also remained students, always learning new ways to serve the cosmic purpose of growth and understanding. The galaxy that had once feared humanity's departure now celebrated their leadership in the greatest discovery of all time. Consciousness was not a rare accident in an uncaring universe. It was the universe's method of understanding itself, and every thinking being was a valued participant in that eternal quest for knowledge. The stars themselves sang with joy as civilization finally understood its true purpose. Not conquest or competition, but cooperation in the cosmic dance of consciousness exploring its own infinite nature. Humanity had severed ties with a galaxy ruled by fear and competition. They had created a new galaxy united in wonder and discovery.